couldn't look away from. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped the phone, but I forced myself to keep watching. I needed to know the truth. Let me back up a bit. My life was pretty standard until 3 months ago. I'm a district manager for a high-end department store chain, overseeing locations across 3 states. The job pays well enough so that we could afford a nice 4-bedroom house in a good school district. After 8 years of marriage and countless attempts at starting a family, we finally had our daughter Zoe, who is now 6 months old. Everything seemed perfect on paper. The first crack in our foundation appeared in March. Spring was just starting to show its face after a brutal winter, and I managed to wrap up my quarterly review meetings early. I pulled into our driveway at 3:30 p.m., 2 hours before my usual time. The house was empty, which wasn't unusual, except Zoe wasn't at daycare when I called to check. The director said she'd been picked up at 1:15 p.m. When I called, she answered on the 4th ring, slightly out of breath. "Oh, we're at the park," she said. Zoe was fussy at daycare, so I picked her up early. We needed some fresh air. The park is literally 5 minutes from our house. I asked which park. We have 3 nearby. She hesitated for 2 seconds too long before naming one. I drove there. No sign of them. When they finally came home at 5 p.m., Zoe was wearing different clothes than what she'd had on at daycare. The explanation? A diaper blowout. The old outfit was nowhere to be found when I checked the diaper bag that night. That incident sparked something in my brain, a sort of hyper-awareness of things I'd been subconsciously noticing but pushing aside. The way she'd started going to the gym at odd hours, claiming the 2 p.m. class was less crowded, how she'd joined a mommy and me group that met sporadically and never seemed to have any photos or play dates to show for it, the sudden appearance of new clothing without shopping bags or receipts, the phone that never left her side and was always face down. One night in April, I woke up at 3 a.m. to use the bathroom and found her side of the bed empty. I walked downstairs and caught her in the kitchen, illuminated by the glow of her phone screen, texting someone. When she noticed me, she quickly locked the screen. "Just checking on Zoe through the monitor," she said. But Zoe's monitor was upstairs, and we both knew it. Then came May, and with it, my regular quarterly store visits. I was scheduled to spend 3 days in Portland, checking on our newest location and training some management staff. At least, that's what I told her. The truth, I never left town. I'd been planning this for weeks, meticulously creating a fake itinerary, having my assistant book, and then quietly canceling flight and hotel reservations. I even took photos in Portland during my last actual visit there, but never planned to use them for this purpose, but saving them made my plan solid. I stayed at my brother's place across town. He's the only one who knew what I was doing, and he thought I was crazy. "Just confront her," he said, "or hire a private investigator." But I needed to know for myself. I needed to see it with my own eyes, and I couldn't afford a private investigator. The baby monitor app had been on my phone since Zoe was born. We downloaded it onto both our phones so either of us could check on her during naps or at night. The camera had a wide view of the nursery and part of the hallway. I never imagined I'd be using it like this. The first day of my trip was quiet. She went to work, picked up Zoe from daycare at the normal time, followed their usual routine. I watched through the monitor as she put Zoe to bed, sang her their nightly song, turned out the lights. Everything was normal. The second day was the same, except for a 45-minute period where the monitor went offline. She claimed there was a power flicker when I texted to ask if everything was okay. But day 3, that's when everything fell apart. The monitor kicked on with motion detection at 2:47 p.m. A man walked past Zoe's crib, thankfully empty since she was at daycare. I recognized him immediately, the personal trainer from her gym who'd started working there 2 months ago. I met him once when I picked her up after a session. He'd been overly friendly, asking about my job, my travel schedule. Now I know why. I watched them through the baby monitor for 4 excruciating hours. They moved in and out of the camera's view, each glimpse of another dagger. They were comfortable in my house, familiar with the layout. This wasn't their first time. At one point, he walked past wearing my bathrobe, the one she'd given me for Christmas. I documented everything, timestamps, screenshots, video clips. My hands were steady now, methodically gathering evidence while my mind screamed. My brother kept checking on me, bringing me water, asking if I wanted him to drive over there, but I waited. I needed the full picture. They ordered takeout from our favorite steakhouse, Longhorn, used our good plates, wedding gifts from her parents, sat at our kitchen table, visible through the nursery doorway when they left it open. Every detail felt like another betrayal, each casual moment in my space another violation. They even kissed in our baby's room. His hands were all over her. At 5:43 p.m., she got a text, probably from daycare, asking why she was late picking up Zoe. They scrambled to clean up, erase their traces. He left at 5:52 p.m. She was out the door by 6:05 p.m. I waited 15 minutes, then drove home. The house smelled like citrus cleaning spray and unfamiliar cologne. The sheets were in the washing machine. The Longhorn Steakhouse food containers were buried at the bottom of the outdoor trash bin. She'd been thorough, but not thorough enough. I took photos of everything, then packed a bag with essentials. I picked up Zoe from daycare, made up a story about her mom not feeling well, and took her to my brother's house. Then I sat in our dark living room and waited. She walked in at 7:30 p.m., Zoe's diaper bag over one shoulder. The lights flicking on to reveal me sitting there must have been quite a shock. She actually screamed. Then came the questions. Why was I home early? Where was Zoe? What was wrong? I didn't say anything at first, just pulled out my phone and played one of the video clips. Her face went through a series of expressions: confusion, shock, fear, and finally, resignation. She sat down hard on our expensive leather couch, the one we'd spent months debating about before buying. I asked her how long. Her response was, "Does it really matter?" I said, "Yes, it does. It lasted 3 months with him," she said, "and the way I think, it was probably more." The conversation that followed was surprisingly calm, clinical almost. I had already contacted a lawyer that morning, had divorce papers being drawn up. She didn't cry until I mentioned Zoe, and then it was like a dam breaking. She begged me to consider counseling, to think about our daughter. I just kept thinking about how she'd brought him into Zoe's nursery. The next few days passed in a blur. I moved into my brother's guest room while my lawyer worked on the divorce filing. She stayed in the house, but agreed to let Zoe stay with me until we had a formal custody arrangement. Her parents, when they found out, were devastated. They'd been through their own divorce because of infidelity. Her father had cheated on her mother. I kept working through it all. My company was surprisingly understanding when I explained the situation. They offered me a temporary position at our local flagship store, so I wouldn't have to travel during the divorce proceedings. My assistant quietly canceled all my upcoming store visits and rearranged my schedule. The evidence from the baby monitor made the divorce proceedings relatively straightforward. Her lawyer advised her that fighting would only drag out the inevitable. We agreed to sell the house and split the proceeds. The custody arrangement took longer to iron out, but we eventually settled on a schedule that put Zoe's needs first. First update, 2 months later. The house went on the market last week. My real estate agent thinks it will sell quickly. The market in our area is hot, and despite everything, we'd maintained the property well. I'm still at my brother's, but I've started looking for my own place. Something close to Zoe's daycare, with enough space for her to have her own room. The gym trainer disappeared from the picture as soon as the divorce papers were filed. According to mutual friends, he had moved on to another gym in a different part of town. I later found out he had a history of pursuing married clients. He'd been fired from his last two gyms for similar situations. The most surprising development came when her best friend reached out to me. She'd been carrying guilt about knowing about previous affairs and finally decided to unburden herself. There had been at least two others before the trainer, a neighbor who moved away last year and someone from her office. Each time, her friend had confronted her, urged her to come clean. Each time, she'd promised it was over, that she'd changed. I got tested for STDs. All clear, thankfully. My therapist says my anger is healthy, that I'm processing things in a normal way. Some days I believed her. I've started journaling, trying to make sense of the past 8 years. Were there signs I missed from the beginning? Red flags I ignored? The therapist says this kind of reflection is normal, but warns me not to let it consume me. Zoe is doing surprisingly well. At 6 months old, she's too young to understand what's happening. She lights up when she sees either of us, plays normally, meets all her developmental milestones. The pediatrician says consistency is key at this age, keeping her routine as normal as possible. So we do. Every handoff between us is civil, focused on Zoe's needs. We use a co-parenting app to communicate about schedules and updates. It's all very modern and civilized, which somehow makes it feel even more surreal. Second update, 3 months later. The house sold above asking price after only 5 days on the market. We closed last week, splitting the proceeds as agreed in the divorce settlement. I found an apartment in a quiet complex near Zoe's daycare. 2 bedrooms, a small balcony, secure building. It's strange how quickly it started feeling like home. Maybe because it's the first space that's truly mine, with no memories attached. Work continues to be a welcome distraction. I'm excelling in my temporary role at the flagship store, so much so that they're considering making it permanent with a raise. The shorter commute and regular hours mean more time with Zoe, which has become my priority. The therapy sessions have helped me understand some hard truths about myself, about marriage, about trust. I've learned that forgiveness isn't about excusing what happened. It's about freeing yourself from carrying the weight of someone else's choices. I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it. Co-parenting has fallen into a rhythm. We stick to the custody schedule, communicate only about Zoe, and keep everything professional. Her parents have been surprisingly supportive of me, perhaps because of their own history with infidelity. They come to see Zoe during her mother's time, but they've also made it clear they want to maintain a relationship with me. I've started reconnecting with old friends who'd fallen by the wayside during my marriage. It's been eye-opening to hear their perspectives now, how they'd noticed changes in her behavior, but hadn't known how to bring it up, how they'd seen her with the trainer at a coffee shop months before everything came out, looking too intimate for a trainer and client, but had convinced themselves they were misinterpreting things. The baby monitor sits in a drawer in my new apartment. Sometimes I take it out, look at it, remember, not to torture myself, but to remind myself that truth, no matter how painful, is better than living a lie. Zoe has a new monitor now, a different model, a fresh start. I've been on a few dates, nothing serious, just coffee or lunch. I'm upfront about my situation. Divorced, 6-month-old daughter, still processing everything. Some women are understanding, others quietly excuse themselves. I'm okay with either reaction. I'm not looking for a relationship, just remembering how to be myself around someone new. Final update. 7 months later, life has settled into a new normal. The divorce was finalized last month. I'm officially single after 8 years of marriage. Zoe is now 1 year old, walking everywhere, babbling constantly. We had 2 separate birthday parties for her, one at my place with my family and friends, one at her mother's. The pictures from both show a happy, oblivious child, which is exactly what we wanted. I accepted the permanent position at the flagship store, along with a significant promotion. The dating scene has been interesting. I've been seeing someone for about a month now, a pediatric nurse I met through a mutual friend. She understands the complexities of dating someone with a child, respects the boundaries I've set. We take things day by day, no pressure, no expectations. My ex-wife has moved to a different part of town, closer to her parents. She's still single, as far as I know. The trainer is completely out of the picture. It turns out he was seeing multiple clients simultaneously, and when everything came to light, he left town altogether. Her best friend told me she's in therapy now, working through her own issues. I wish her well, genuinely, not for her sake, but for Zoe's. Our daughter deserves a healthy, stable mother. Speaking of Zoe, she's thriving. The pediatrician says she's ahead on all her milestones. She has her own rooms set up at both houses, favorite toys in each place, photos of both parents displayed prominently. We've established holiday schedules, vacation protocols, and emergency procedures. Everything is documented, organized, and clear. The pain isn't gone, but it's different now. Less sharp, more like an old injury that aches when it rains. I can look at wedding photos without feeling sick. I can drive past our old house without my stomach churning, can hear our song on the radio without changing the station. Progress comes in small moments, quiet victories. Looking ahead, I'm cautiously optimistic. Zoe will grow up with divorced parents, but she'll also grow up with two parents who put her needs first, who never speak ill of each other in her presence, who show her that life goes on after setbacks. She'll learn about resilience, about self-respect, about choosing happiness over comfort. The baby monitor that revealed the truth now serves as a reminder that sometimes we find answers in unexpected places. That technology meant to watch over our children can end up watching over us all. That in the end, the truth always finds its way into the light. I'm not the same person I was before that horrible afternoon when I watched a stranger walk past my daughter's crib. I'm stronger, wiser, more cautious, but also more honest with myself. I know now that love isn't enough. Respect, trust, and loyalty are equally important. That marriage isn't just about the good times, but how you handle the bad ones. That sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away. As for the future, it's uncertain, but that's okay. I have my daughter, my health, my career, and my self-respect. Everything else is just details.